think the Germans started it in the 19th century, and we gradually took it over. We're not really made for the summer, the Irish. I don't really know. The Irish, we have a problematic relationship with the sun. If you guys don't know the history, St. Patrick chased the sun out of Ireland in the 5th century, and ever since then he's been hunting us down in other countries and just burning the bejesus out of us. Some people call these freckles, I call them melanoma seeds. I'm just expecting a bumper harvest. Freckles suck, madam. Freckles are just a tan that couldn't get it together, you know what I mean? My friends are always like, well, where's sunblock? I do. I wear SPF 100. If you don't know, SPF 100 comes out of a caulking gun. A Lithuanian man puts it on with a trowel. It's like wearing drywall. It sucks. I am from, my name's Adam Burke. I live in Chicago now. I am from County Armagh. Armagh is the most confusing county to be from, because when I was a kid, people would ask us, like, where are you from? And we'd go, Armagh. And they would go, we didn't know you were going to be that specific, but good for you. We're all from Armagh in a way. Okay, fine. You guys will get it later on. You'll get it on the drive home. It's all right. Are you enjoying the festival? Yes, are we enjoying the festival?
Yeah.
Enjoying the music? Lots of music here. Almost, I would say, too much music, I think. I went into a porta potty and there was a guy in there with a mandolin. It's like, would you like a reel while you pee? I'm like, okay. I saw a guy the other day, he was rocking out. There was sort of like a rock and roll Irish band. And the guy was rocking out with a bagpipe. This is very hard to do. It's not really made for that. Just to be rocking out while you've essentially got like a dead ram under your... It's just this giant piece of livestock. And they have the Irish dancing mostly in the hotel here, in the ballroom. Which again I think is probably a good idea, because in the Milwaukee Festival, I mean, as tough as that bagpiper was, no one is tougher than an outside Irish step dancer. Jesus. They had hundreds of these girls in these huge calico dresses with about 2 feet of synthetic curls on it. Make sure that wig doesn't breathe whatsoever. And they're all stamping away. That's why they all look the same. If someone passes out, they just slide another one in. You don't even notice. Get in there, Megan. Go on in. They're tough. I wouldn't surprise if half these Irish dancers don't wind up as Marines. You know what I mean? Just in 10 years' time, just high-stepping their way through a minefield in some desert. How do you do it? Milwaukee Irish Festival, 4 years in a row. Tough stuff. I do have a couple of slight bones to pick with this festival that I think make it not quite authentic as an Irish festival. For one thing, this is held on public grounds and you have to pay to get in. And the Irish won't pay for anything that exists out in the world. I don't know if you know this. The Irish were fundamentally opposed to it. I went back to Ireland a little while ago, and I made the mistake of telling our friends over there that does anyone know what the Giant's Causeway is? Giant's Causeway, beautiful piece of natural wonder. We told our friends we're going to the Giant's Causeway, and they were going to pay the entrance fee, and it looked like we had just blasphemed their entire family. They were like, you're not going to pay the entrance fee. Jesus, you're €7 to get in. Listen, all you have to do is a back entrance. All you have to do, it's a quick 4-mile hike and then a short 4-mile climb, and you're in. No one's none the wiser. The other slight problem I have here is the music at this festival. I've noticed the musicians here are good, and that's not necessarily true of every Irish pub you're going to go to. When I was back recently, we went to an Irish pub. First of all, if you do happen to go to Ireland, if you go into a pub and there isn't a dog asleep on the floor, get out of that pub. That pub sucks. Irish pubs are mainly beds for canines, and we sort of accidentally built an establishment around it. That's when you know it's time to get home. Whenever Fido comes to, all right, that's it, lads. But you go into these Irish pubs and there's normally like a kill going on. There's normally like what we call a session, which is just like a few lads. They'll sit around, they'll play together, they just get paid in pints normally, and they're normally fantastic. And we're all having, by the way, if you are listening to Irish music, I have noticed one thing Americans do. You kind of listen to it a little reverently. You kind of sit there and you're like, this is from the old country. No, you're supposed to make noise. Like next time you listen to it like a fiddle player, sir, give me one of these, give me one of these. You! All right, you're gonna have to work on that, sir. Get this guy some oatmeal, a couple of pints of Guinness. You wanna try one? Yeah, here's one you do. Go on, you boy here. Do that nice and loud. Go on, you boy here.
Go on, you boy.
That's very good. There you go. Have what she's having. Go on, you boy. Yeah, it's almost like you think the musician has forgotten what he's doing, and you want to remind him. Yeah, keep going. It's frightening. My dad used to have one, which was brilliant. I'm not lying. My dad, when someone would be playing, my dad would go, "Now we're sucking diesel." It just sounds like a suicide attempt. I wasn't sure what he was going for there. But he would. So anyway, feel free to yell that out. So normally in an Irish pub, that'll be going on, and you'll be talking over the good musicians. The people are actually good. You're all talking, you're having the crack, they're playing away. But then at one point, during the night, at any Irish pub you're in, someone's finally gonna go, "All right now lads, order lads, let's have a bit of peace and quiet. Be quiet," and everyone will stop talking. And you may think, oh, that means there's gonna be a really good singer about to go up. That is not what it means. You're about to hear the worst singer you've ever heard. But the reason they're going up is they just have the most tragic backstory of anyone in the bar. Because they'll all go very quiet, and then they go, "Mary's gonna sing." And then you'll see Mary, and Mary be a tiny, tiny woman, aged between 90 and 4,000 years old. And Mary will walk up, and as she does so, everybody will just whisper Mary's problems to each other, like, "Oh, God bless Mary. She's got gingivitis of the knees. She's got sciatica of the teeth." I don't know how it works. And Mary will go up, and she will sing the most depressing song you've ever heard. It'll have about 97 verses. They will all be about how a boyfriend of hers drowned in the Atlantic. And at one point you'll be like, "Mary, around the third boyfriend, I think it might be you. I think you might be cursed, Mary." All I'm saying is, if there is anyone here with a particularly tragic backstory, just feel free to just walk on any of the stages and just belt out a few songs. But yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about Ireland now. Ireland's very progressive now. It's changed. Like I was over there, like I said, a couple of years ago, and in Dublin Airport they have a pub there called the Gate Pub. Is anyone familiar with the Gate Pub? Here's one thing you need to know about the Gate Pub. Back in Ireland, through the 70s, if you don't know, like I know St. Patrick's Day is a big thing over here, but that's kind of a thing that you guys invented. It wasn't really, like I live in Chicago. In Chicago, they go mad for St. Patrick's Day. Like they dye the river green. Why do they dye? Like rivers in Ireland aren't that color, right, Checks? It's not like lemon lime Gatorade comes from some spring in Killarney. People go mad at St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. Like all you have to do to the Irish in Chicago and St. Patrick's is wear something green. And one St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, I was like stumbling down the street and I saw a German Shepherd with a green collar on. And I was like, "Listen, you're not Irish." And the cop holding his leash was like, "Don't talk to the dog, sir." And that's how I almost got arrested on St. Patrick's Day. Anyway, it wasn't always like that in Ireland though. Up until the 70s, if you don't know, on St. Patrick's Day, every pub in Ireland was actually closed, sir. It was a religious holiday. So they closed all the pubs. There was one pub in all of Ireland that was open, and that was the Gate Pub in the Dublin International Airport. So you go there on St. Patrick's Day, it would just be 4 very confused Japanese businessmen and just about 400 pissed paddies, just all getting in the one drink they could get. They'd be like, "Are you flying today, Michael?" "Not yet, but give him 4 more pints and I might be." So I was supposed to meet my friends at this Gate Pub, but they kind of hide it. because they don't want you lingering around the airport. They just want to send you out and have you be Dublin's problem. So I couldn't find this gate pub, and I stumbled outside the airport, and I flagged down a cabbie. I flagged down a cab. I get in, and the cab driver says, Dublin cab driver goes to me, "Where are you going?" And I go, "I'd like to go to the gay pub." And he goes, "Gay pub? I'll take you to a gay pub." It was 10 in the morning. He's like, "What kind of gay pub you want?" And he just started telling me how much he was like, "I love the gays. I love RuPaul's Drag Race. We have an Irish version here. I got 15 minutes about RuPaul's Drag Race. Because I think St. Patricia's going to win it this year." I was like, "Great." Then finally I said, "Oh, no, not gay pub, gate pub." And he's like, "Oh, so you're a homophobe." I was like, "Okay." Ireland's gotten a little too woke for me. I don't know. But yeah, it's, oh, I have no idea how we're doing on time. I left, you can tell how my last night went. I left my watch in my hotel room. But has anyone here ever worked in an Irish pub? You have? Like in Ireland or one here? Where did you work? You pulled Guinness in where? Oh, Ring-a-Bell. Oh, very nice. There you go. I pulled Guinness. I like how you phrase that. I pulled Guinness in Ring-a-Bell. That may or may not mean, yeah, that may or may not mean that you were employed there. I hear that as like, yeah, you figured out a way to climb behind the bar. Good play. I mean, fair play to you. I mean, if you can get away with it. I was saying, does anyone know about Kong in Mayo? Does anyone know what that is? So if you don't know, has anyone seen the movie Quiet Man? All right, of course you have. But it's that's where they filmed the movie Quiet Man, Kong, and they have a hotel pub there called Danaher's. And I had been back in Ireland for a few years, and I'd forgotten that in a proper Irish pub, this notion of the customer is always right isn't necessarily a thing that they have written in Gaelic above the bar. Like we went in and it was great, but it was like, so the guy there that runs the pub, you ever get to Kong in Ireland, it's a beautiful part of the world, and there's a pub called Danaher's. It's named after the family in the film. And the guy who runs and owns the pub is a guy called Henry. And Henry just holds court. And we were drinking there all day, we're having a good time, and I noticed, I was drinking, I think I was drinking Jameson all day, and I looked around, and they had all these beautiful vintage bottles of whiskey up on the wall. And I was having a few drinks, and I was starting to feel a bit expansive. I was like, "Henry, that's a hell of a collection you have up there. That's a great collection of whiskey." And Henry was like, "It is?" And I said, "Henry, would you by any chance be able to recommend me one of your fine bottles of whiskey up here?" And Henry just fixed me square in the eye and was like, "You'll drink what you're drinking." And then he left to get ice, because I'm not lying, this is how Henry got ice. If you wanted ice in your drink, Henry would go and get you ice from the basement, one glass at a time. It's the least efficient thing I've ever seen. But you know, it's a slower pace of life. I did want to talk a couple more things. We have a kid in the audience, because I was going to talk about, would anyone want to hear the story about how I ruined Christmas back home in Ireland? Sure. But what is this person's level of information on the reality or non-reality of certain persons pertaining to Christmas?
He's fine.
He's fine? But you're the older brother? You don't give a shit. Screw him. He took all the attention away from me. I was the golden boy till he showed up. This is how I ruined Christmas when I was about 9 years old. If you don't know, the Irish do Christmas a little differently than you guys do over here. First of all, Christmas Eve in Ireland, massive drinking day. Bigger drinking day in Ireland than St. Patrick's Day, to be honest. When I first moved to America and I found out that you guys closed the pubs on Christmas Eve, I was like, This is a war crime. This is terrible. The Irish, massive drinking holiday on Christmas Eve, because the Irish realize, they reckon, if you have to be up at 5 in the morning anyway, you may as well still be drunk, you know? So, this is, again, I was 9 years old, and the other thing is, we were living in the north, in Armagh. The other thing is, so the Irish, we don't leave out milk and cookies for Santa Claus. Instead of cookies, we leave out something called mince pies. And mince pies are every bit as disgusting as they sound. They're always 400 degrees for some reason. I wouldn't even eat them. I would just throw them at the Protestant kids. Leave out mince pies, and instead of milk, does anyone know what the Irish leave out for Santa Claus?
Whiskey.
Whiskey, thank you. Milwaukee Law thought it was Guinness. No, it's whiskey. The Irish we leave out, at least in my family, we left out a full bottle of whiskey for Santa Claus, because we understand that Santa Claus is a working man and he needs something to take the edge off. A glass of Overweiss isn't going to cut it. Santa Claus is essentially a long haul trucker, you know what I mean? But then this one year, my parents really tied one on, and they forgot to do any of the setup whatsoever. They didn't put out presents, we didn't put out mince pies, or the whiskey. They all just passed out. So we woke up Christmas morning, we ran down into the living room, there was a Christmas tree, just bereft of presents, no presents whatsoever. My younger brother starts to cry, but my dad was quite quick on his feet. My dad goes, hold on. I actually just heard something on the radio. There's like a low pressure system over Sweden. I think Santa Claus is backed up. I tell you what, if we all go to church, by the time we come back, I bet the backlog will have been cleared and Santa will be back. So he goes, great thinking, Dad. So we put out the mince pies, we put out a full bottle of whiskey. We all got in the car. On the way to the car, my dad goes, oh, I forgot my hands or something. And he goes back and he comes back, he drives us to church. We all spend a little time with Mr. and Mrs. Jesus and family. We come back to the house, and what do you know? Christmas tree now laden with presents. The plate of mince pies completely gone, bottle of whiskey completely empty. Yay! My siblings start ripping into their presents, and this is the moment where I ruined Christmas, because I went, whoa, hold on, everybody stop what you're doing. And I walked over and I picked up the empty bottle of whiskey and I said, this bottle of whiskey is a different brand than the one we put down. And my mother looked at me like, thank you, little shitty Poirot, thank you for... And that's the bad part. That's how I ruined Christmas. The good part was that, as dedicated as my father was to preserving the myth of Santa Claus, he wasn't so dedicated that he was willing to down an entire bottle of whiskey before driving his family to church. So, Christmas giveth and it taketh away.